So today's an auspicious day. It's the anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in America. So mostly you'll be talking about that today. And we'll just start off with a little kirtan. Actually, these things are about to break. Sorry about that. Namahom Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasyachadishatarine Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasyachadishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotar Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotar Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulasi Devi Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Samaveda Bhakta Vrindaki, Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Guru Ranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Omagyanna Timranda Shalagananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Staptam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Korna Sindhu Dinabando Jagapate Gopesha Gopikanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So good morning. Thank you for stopping by and joining us on this very auspicious morning, day, anniversary. Practically every day is a celebration in Krishna consciousness. There's always something to celebrate. And particularly today, we're celebrating Srila Prabhupada's arrival in America, which was in 1965. Let me just look at the exact date. I think it was the September 17th is when the ship pulled into Boston. And just to kind of give like a little timeline of what we're looking at here in Prabhupada's life. Well, first of all, why is this important? Why even discuss this? And I was just thinking about this, over the past day. If Prabhupada did not come to America, none of us would be here. None of this, none of these temples would be here. It's hard to say. Krishna consciousness probably still would be very obscure and segregated to India somewhere. But it's almost like magic. But by Krishna's mercy and through Prabhupada's prayers and by the instructions of his spiritual master, somehow it all happened. In 1965, he was able to come here. And so yeah, without him coming here, none of us would be here. I know I'm speaking for myself, but maybe for others, that most of our lives, we'd have no idea where we would be. We would be out there in the ether with everyone else somewhere, purposeless, perhaps. We wouldn't have this direct access to Krishna consciousness, to a relationship with Krishna, without Prabhupada's arrival to America, without that initial spark of him coming in and planting this seed. So, Prabhupada was born in 1896, and in the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita by Satsvarup Maharaj, which is basically the biography of Prabhupada. I think one of the chapters of the books, is called A Life in Preparation. He grew up as a devotee. His parents were devotees. I won't go through his whole history, but he had householder life. He was a pharmacist. He had children, but he was always Krishna conscious. Even he himself says that. He was always Krishna conscious, always living a pious life. And specifically when he met his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that's when you could almost say the spiritual spark, for him took off. And then he got, these instructions that you should preach in English, preach to the Western countries, try and spread this Krishna consciousness movement from his Guru Maharaj. And he really took that to heart. And then he spent, many years as a householder, raising his children and attending to his business. And let's see here. It looks like at the 1950. It looks like 1951 is when he decided to retire from family life and to really dive into spiritual life, moving to Vrindavan, just studying scripture, and yes, just focusing on spiritual life, because that's what you're supposed to do. You take Vajraprast, and then the rest of your life is spent on spiritual life, on spiritual topics and matter. So, yeah, in 1951 he took Vajraprast, and during that time, as he was studying, he was also translating, the first canto of Bhagavatam, and in addition to that, he was also trying to, fund the printing for these books, because it's, reading about it, it was an arduous task trying to find people to help print these books, finding the supplies to print the books. And he also, at this point has no money. He's living basically as a poor sannyasi, just trying to distribute the books too, And as he's getting older, he's thinking more about going to the West, thinking more about his Guru Maharaj's instructions about preaching in the West. And so this is putting us to around 1964. He's pushing 69, 70 years old. I'm not old yet, but, I can speak from the little experience. The older you get, the slower your body gets, the more pain, and, the more difficult it is to do things. So I can only imagine, what Prabhupada's situation is like. So I wanted to read a little bit from the Lilamrita, just to talk more about just, the lead up and how he got to America. With the manuscript for Volume 3 complete, and with the money to print it, Bhaktivedanta Swami once again entered the printing world, purchasing paper, correcting proofs, and keeping the printer on schedule so that the book would be finished by January 1965. Thus, by his persistence, he, who had almost no money of his own, managed to publish his third large, hardbound volume within little more than 2 years. And this is the Bhagavatam, first canto. At this rate, with his respect in the scholarly world increasing, he might soon become a recognized figure amongst his countrymen, but he had his vision set on the West, and with the third volume now printed, he felt he was at last prepared. He was 69 and would have to go soon. It had been more than 40 years since Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had first asked a young householder in Calcutta to preach Krishna consciousness in the West. At first it had seemed impossible to abide Charan, who had so recently entered family responsibilities. That obstacle, however, had long ago been removed, and for more than years he had been free to travel. But he had been penniless, and still was, and he had wanted first to publish some volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam to take with him. It had seemed necessary if he were to do something solid. Now, by Krishna's grace, 3 volumes were on hand. And this is Srila Prabhupada speaking. I planned that I must go to America. Generally, they go to London, but I did not want to go to London. I was simply thinking how to go to New York. I was scheming whether I shall go this way through Tokyo, Japan, or that way. Which way is cheaper? That was my proposal, and I was targeting to New York always. Sometimes I was dreaming that I have come to New York. Another point to make is Srila Prabhupada coming to the West. You know, a lot of people, when they travel, especially, I would say, coming to America from another country, you're coming to America to seek opportunity to advance materially, to gratify your senses more, because America is like the land for that. There's so much freedom and opportunity to do that. But on the other hand, you have Prabhupada, who's actually not into the idea of going to America because he's seeing it from a devotee's eyes, that it's kind of a gross place, that everybody is degraded, and it's kind of like a cesspool. So it's just kind of just interesting to note. And, you know, it's not, so he's not coming here on vacation. And also he's not coming on a plane. He's coming on as we'll see, he's coming on a cargo ship across the ocean. And that's not like a short trip. Ends up being a month-long adventure across the ocean. And I can't imagine being on a ship for more than a few hours, let alone a month, with the sickness. And as we'll see, he goes through sickness and a few heart attacks. You know, this is like a serious, austere thing to get here. Anyways, I'll continue. Then Bhaktivedanta Swami met Mr. Agarwal, a Mathura businessman, and mentioned to him in passing, as he did to almost everyone he met, that he wanted to go to the West. Although Mr. Agarwal had known Bhaktivedanta Swami for only a few minutes, he volunteered to try to get him a sponsor in America. It was something Mr. Agarwal had done a number of times. When he met a sadhu who mentioned something about going abroad to teach Hindu culture, he would ask his son Gopal, an engineer in Pennsylvania, to send back a sponsorship form. When Mr. Agarwal volunteered to help in this way, Bhaktivedanta Swami urged him please to do so. And here's Srila Prabhupada speaking again. I did not say anything seriously to Mr. Agarwal, but perhaps he took it very seriously. I asked him, well, why don't you ask your son Gopal to sponsor so that I can go there? I want to preach there. But Bhaktivedanta Swami knew he could not simply dream of going to the West. He needed money. In March 1965, he made another visit to Bombay, attempting to sell his books. Again, he stayed at the free Dharmashala Prema Kutir, but finding customers was difficult. He met Paramananda Bhagwani, a librarian at Jai Hind College, who purchased books for the college library, and then escorted Bhaktivedanta Swami to a few likely outlets. Bhaktivedanta Swami returned to Delhi, pursuing the usual avenues of bookselling and looking for whatever opportunity might arise. And to his surprise, he was contacted by the Ministry of External Affairs and informed that his no objection certificate for going to the U.S. was ready. Since he had not instigated any proceedings for leaving the country, Bhaktivedanta Swami had to inquire from the ministry about what had happened. They showed him the statutory declaration form signed by Mr. Gopal Agarwal of Butler, Pennsylvania. Mr. Agarwal solemnly declared that he would bear the expenses of Bhaktivedanta Swami during his stay in the U.S. Prabhupada. Whatever the correspondence was there between the father and son, I did not know. I simply asked him, why don't you ask your son Gopal to sponsor? And now, after 3 or 4 months, the no objection certificate was sent from the Indian consulate in New York to me. He had already sponsored my arrival there for 1 month. All of a sudden, I got the paper. So you can see, just looking back at Prabhupada's life, how things just seem to be arranged. He was thinking to come to America, but he wasn't aggressively planning to. And then just by Krishna's arrangement, all of a sudden he gets this certificate saying, you can go. At his father's request, Gopal Agarwal had done as he had done for several other sadhus, none of whom had ever gone to America. It was just a formality, something to satisfy his father. Gopal had requested a form from the Indian consulate in New York, obtained a statement from his employer certifying his monthly salary, gotten a letter from his bank showing his balance as of April 1965, and had the form notarized. It had been stamped and approved in New York and sent to Delhi. Now Bhaktivedanta Swami had a sponsor, but he still needed a passport, visa, P-form, and travel fare. The passport was not very difficult to obtain. Krishna Pandit helped. By June, just lost my space. Sorry about that. Okay. This is why I like books better, because then you don't accidentally slip back, The passport was not very difficult to obtain. Krishna Pandit helped, and by June 10th he had his passport. Carefully he penned his address at the Radha Krishna temple in Chipawada and wrote his father's name, Gaur Mohan Dey. He asked Krishna Pandit also to pay for his going abroad, but Krishna Pandit refused, thinking it against Hindu principles for a sadhu to go abroad, and also very expensive. With his passport and sponsorship papers, Bhaktivedanta Swami went to Bombay, not to sell books or raise funds for printing. He wanted a ticket for America. Again he tried approaching Sumati Morarji, and this is the woman that is at the steamship company. He showed his sponsorship papers to her secretary, Mr. Chaksi, who was impressed and who went to Mrs. Morarji on his behalf. The Swami from Vrindavan is back, he told her. He has published his book on your donation. He has a sponsor and he wants to go to America. He wants you to send him on a Scindia ship. And that's the steamship company, Scindia. Mrs. Morarji said no. The Swamiji was too old to go to the United States and expect to accomplish anything. As Mr. Chakshi conveyed to him Mrs. Morarji's words, Bhaktivedanta Swami listened disapprovingly. She wanted him to stay in India and complete the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why go to the States? Finish the job here. But Bhaktivedanta Swami was fixed on going. He told Mr. Chakshi that he should convince Mrs. Morarji. He coached Mr. Chakshi on what he should say. I find this gentleman very inspired to go to the States and preach something to the people there. But when he told Mrs. Morarji, she again said no. The Swami was not healthy. It would be too cold there. He might not be able to come back, and she doubted whether he would be able to accomplish much there. People in America were so cooperative, and they would probably not, were not so cooperative, and they would probably not listen to him. Exasperated with Mr. Choksi's ineffectiveness, Bhaktivedanta Swami demanded a personal interview. It was granted, and a gray-haired, determined Bhaktivedanta Swami presented his emphatic request, "Please give me one ticket." Sumati Morarji was concerned. "Swamiji, you are so old. You are taking this responsibility. Do you think it is all right?" "No," he reassured her, lifting his hand as if to reassure a doubting daughter. "It is all right. But do you know what my secretaries think? They say Swamiji is going to die there." Bhaktivedanta made a face as if to dismiss a foolish rumor. Again he insisted that she give him a ticket. "All right," she said. "Get your P form and I will make an arrangement to send you by our ship." Bhaktivedanta Swami smiled brilliantly and happily left her offices, past her amazed and skeptical clerks. So then he has to get this P form, which he gets. And then he gets his visa. And he's staying in an apartment at the Scindia steamship company while everything's being arranged. Just skipping through some of this. Following Mrs. Morarji's instruction, her secretary, Mr. Choksi, made final arrangements for Bhaktivedanta Swami. Since he had no warm clothes, Mr. Choksi took him to buy a wool jacket and other woolen clothes. Mr. Choksi printed 500 copies of a small pamphlet containing the 8 verses written by Lord Chaitanya and an advertisement for Srimad Bhagavatam in the context of an advertisement for the Scindia steamship company. Finally, Mrs. Morarji scheduled a place for him on one of her ships, the Jaladuta, which was sailing from Calcutta on August 13th. She had made certain that he would travel on a ship whose captain understood the needs of a vegetarian and a Brahmana. Mrs. Morarji told the Jaladuta's captain, Arun Pandya, to carry extra vegetables and fruits for the Swami. Mr. Choksi spent the last 2 days with Bhaktivedanta Swami in Bombay, picking up the pamphlets at the press, purchasing clothes, and driving him to the station to catch the train for Calcutta. He arrived in Calcutta about 2 weeks before the Jaladuta's departure. Although he had lived much of his life in the city, he now had nowhere to stay. It was as he had written in his Vrindavan Bhajana, "I have my wife's sons, daughters, grandsons, everything, but I have no money, so they are fruitless glory." Although in this city he had been so carefully nurtured as a child, those early days were also gone forever. "Where have my loving father and mother gone to now, and where are all my elders, who are my own folk? Who will give me news of them? Tell me who. All that is left of this family life is a list of names." So there's a lot to read about this subject. So he's just preparing, and finally he leaves on the cargo ship. We'll read he finally takes off on the Jaladuta on August 13th and arrives on September 17th. So that's about a month. They make a few stops along the way. I think a few islands. Nothing too consequential. Like I said earlier, during the trip. There was a lot of sickness, and he had these 2 heart attacks, which to me sounds like a major thing, you know. Most people don't survive heart attacks. So when you have 2 on a ship, you know, on the ocean, going to this crazy country, that almost seems like a sign to turn back. But he kept going. It wasn't even his plan. He left everything up to Krishna. It was Krishna's plan. Do with me what you will. And on the ship, he wrote some prayers that I think would be good to read. There's this book, the Jaladuta Diary, that I was borrowing, that has photocopies of his diary pages from his travels, and it has pictures of places where he stayed in India. And also an interesting note is when he arrives to New York, I think they dock in New York for maybe a day, and he writes this prayer, Markine Bhagavata Dharma, and then they go to the port in Pennsylvania, and this is where this Agarwal's son, Gopal, picks him up, and then they weren't really expecting him. And I was surprised to find out that he didn't even really stay with them. He stayed at a YMCA. How crazy is that, you know? Srila Prabhupada, the founder of Acharya, who's being worshipped by millions now, staying at a YMCA. I mean, that's just crazy. Maybe it wasn't as dumpy as it is now, but still, it's a YMCA. Anyways, this prayer, he wrote 2 prayers, but I'll read this one, and then if we have time, we'll read the other one. This one's in Bengali, and there's also a Bhagavatam verse in there, or a few Bhagavatam verses. Markine Bhagavata Dharma. I'll read the translation. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useful soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. And this is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Krishna is the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead, in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as the master. And the prayer continues. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message, so if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands, so if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Sign the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. Now that prayer is amazing, and it's a beautiful prayer. It shows the humility that Prabhupada has. He's powerless. He's just under the control of the Lord. Whatever Krishna wants, he'll do. It's something. It's a remarkable. Anyways, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please take advantage of this great day. Thank you.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Lasyan Dipan Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigraha
Namahom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatarishyatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Brahmanande.
की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नाम शरण शरणदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री विद्युत गदाधर शिवासाति गौरविंद की जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय गौर निताई की जय श्री श्री राधा गोलोकानंद की जय श्री गिरिधारी गिरिराज की जय गौर प्रेमनंदी हरि हरि बोल all glories to assemble devotees all glories to assemble devotees all glories to assemble devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai Chandrika Vritranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Ananta Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Puranam Rivata Swadanam Sarvatana Sanapam Paramam Vijete Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namna Makari Bahuda Nij Sarva Shakti Rata Pita Niyamate Samarena Kala Ita Drishita Kripa Bhagavan Maapi Durdeva Sani Nanuraga Taranapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahusena Amanena Manadena Kirtanaya Sadahari Na Dhanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Va Jagdish Kame Mama Janmani Janmani Ishware Bhaktar Bhaktir Hetkvitave Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitarama Vishme Barambadu Kirpaye Tava Pad Pankaja Stita Duli Sudarshanam Chintaya Nayanam Vasaru Dharya Vadnam Gadgadharudaya Gira Pulkir Nishtam Vapukada Tabnam Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayitam Nimishena Chakshusa Pravasayitam Sunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govindaya Varaneme Ashlisheva Padaratam Panashtuma Adarshanam Marmahatam Karotuva Yatha Tatava Vidadatu Lampato Mata Prananatha Tu Sa Eva Praha. Victory to Sankirtan, which cleans the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of benediction movement. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, countless chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the star in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your adventure servant here. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my eyes choke up, and when will the hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord unconditionally. Shishkashtam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.